Right, hello out there. This is my review of the new Zhanchi cube, as given to me by iCube Mart for their excellent competition. When they gave away a certain number of them, and I was lucky enough to get one. And this is it. It arrived as a kit. I put it together, stuck it up, lubricated it with Lubix, and I've tried it extensively with the torpedoes and without the torpedoes, and I'll come back onto that in a minute. First of all, a couple of comments about build quality. This cube has some of the highest standards build quality wise I've seen. I've got a lot of Guhongs and I've got a lot of alphas and things, and the inner surfaces of this thing just seem to be to a much higher standard. The curves are very smooth, very precise. There's no flash or excess plastic anywhere. The pieces are moulded and formed to very high tolerances, and it does appear to be an extremely well put together cube. Putting it together is fine. Obviously, if you put together a cube before, you'll be alright. Putting it together with the torpedoes in is a little bit more tricky, unless you're happy to screw the last centerpiece in, if you see what I mean. You can't just, because it's impossible to pop pieces out with the torpedoes. It's equally almost impossible to pop them in with the torpedoes. So what you find yourself doing is taking one of the centers out, putting it together, and then screwing it in. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. The fact that the anti-pop works so very, very well is definitely a good thing. Now, I have my cubes set relatively tight. Just as a comparison, this is a Lubix Guhong, and it's got, quite a bit of give in that. Whereas the Zhanchi, and believe me, I've got this set up perfectly, just how I like it. This one does not move open very much at all. Yet still, it moves extremely smoothly and doesn't really lock up. Doesn't really, well, the anti-pop torpedoes mean it's just not going to pop full stop. Certainly at any sort of reasonable tensions, and it's got a lovely feel to it. To try and explain what it feels like, it's somewhere between a Guhong and a Lingyun, really. It's got that lovely smoothness that you get with the Lingyun, but it's also got that sort of more substantial kind of buttery feel that you get with the Guhong. Kind of difficult to explain, but suffice to say, it's good. I mean, the turning is, it's smooth, but it's controllable. It's not excessively fast. It's not, get away from you quick, and it kind of stops where you want it to stop, and it just feels good. It really does. It took a couple of goes to get used to, and it did need a little bit of breaking in. But then, I could just feel it getting better and better and better, and it really is an excellent cube. Now, as I said before, I do like my cubes tightish, and as such, I think the torpedoes are unnecessary for me. They're actually in this cube at the moment. What you find is, if you have the cube on the tight side, I don't think you need the torpedoes, because the cube just doesn't really pop anyway. It's a very well made cube, and it doesn't really pop. If you've got it on a much looser tension, if you had it, loose like this Guhong's loose, you find it can lock up a bit, but then again, so can a Guhong. But the torpedoes actually really help that as well. Not only does it stop it from popping, it also helps the lockups a little bit, because the torpedoes kind of hold groups together in a manner that means that it's less likely to bind on itself. The sort of lock you get when you end up with a sort of slightly twisted central piece sort of thing, because each row of three is kind of separated a little. That sort of lock is nigh on impossible with the torpedoes in. So I was asked, torpedoes in or torpedoes out, and the answer I'm going to stick with is, if you like tightish cubes, you don't need them. And and if you like your cubes on the loose side, then they're great. Simple as that. They do affect the feel of it. They do affect the feel of it. They do affect the way it feels like it turns. It feels more held together. It feels like it's running on, more like it's running on tracks. And you see what I mean? Whereas without the torpedoes, you get a little bit more of the roundness that you get with the Guhong kind of a feel. And that's, you know, down to personal preference. I took them when I put it together. I left the torpedoes in, tried it out on a variety of tensions. I went okay. Then took them out, tried it on a variety of tensions, went okay, and then decided to put them back in again and give it another feel. And actually, I've left them in. I've left them in this one because I don't know. I found a tension and so on that feels so good. I mean, this really is a fantastic cube. I can't emphasise that enough. It feels so good that I don't want to do anything to mess that up. So I have left the torpedoes in. The tension I picked, actually, I did pick with them, with the torpedoes out, and then put them in to see what the torpedoes would feel like at this relatively tight tension that works for me. And at first I went, no, don't like it, and then it really grew on me. It really grew on me because they move together more. You find that you get a much more precise feel. Even if you're quite a rough cuber, it actually keeps you on track, you know, in a way, and sort of helps you to be more precise. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does. The stickers are decent vinyl stickers. I've been using this for a while now, and I haven't seen any chips or any problems like that. Oh yeah, I gotta say, at first, when I first got it, I felt there was a bit of a tendency for each layer to sort of sit in the wrong place. It was like it wanted to sit more there or more there than there. If that, sorry, again, sorry. It wanted to sit more like that, or like that, than like that. I didn't like this. I didn't like this at all. But what I found was that as it broke in, whatever it was about the mechanism that made it feel off, as it were, because that led to lockups and things, or like every corner you turned was essentially a small corner cut, and that's not how it should be. That just went away. So anyone who's got a Zhanchi and feels like it's not sitting properly, the layers are wanting to be a little bit off, that definitely goes away when you find the right tensions and things, and it's less of a problem when you've got the torpedoes in. I noticed that was cut down immediately. Just that slightly less freedom of movement, I suppose, is what caused that to be reduced. However, it's completely gone now. I don't even think about it anymore. In fact, that was there for the first couple of days, and I think the process of breaking it in makes it go away. And what you're left with once it's broken in is a smooth feeling, really efficient, pleasure to use cube. Like I say, that the turning on it, it's like it's smooth, but it's not, and it's fast. Don't get me wrong, but it's not so fast that you lose it. It's got, you know, the right kind of friction about it, the right kind of turning characteristics. So you can do, you know, whatever you want finger trick wise without any sort of problem at all. But it works with you. That's what I'm trying to say. It kind of works with you to accomplish what you want it to do. It's not so fast or so loose or so uncontrollable that everything goes flying off when you're going at top speed. It kind of grows with you in the sense that as you get faster, it responds to your requirements, if you see what I mean. So in that sense, I reckon this would be an excellent cube for the most advanced cuber, or someone who's, you know, intermediate to beginner. It works with whatever you throw at it, essentially. And with the addition of the torpedoes and well, what I said about the different characteristics you get out of it at different tensions, with or without the torpedoes in, you've got a huge amount of flexibility. This cube came from iCubeMart. I can't recommend iCubeMart enough. They're a superb company with the best customer service. And if you're interested, go over there and get one. They're absolutely great. Thanks very much for that. See you next time.